Welcome students for this demonstration on carving of mandibular first premolar. So from the wax block, as you know, this first step we allot space for the carving of crown, for the carving of root, and the last portion for the base. Now you decide the surface, mark the buccal surface, then opposite the palatal or the lingual surface. Now you decide which tooth you want to carve, whether you want to carve the right or the left. Accordingly, you need to decide which will be the mesial and distal. So this simple exercise I have already demonstrated during classes, how you decide the mesial and distal surfaces. So once you have marked the surfaces, then in the buccal surface, just draw a parabolic shape. So the same thing how you did for the central incisors and lateral incisors and canine. Now here we are carving the cusped tooth, isn't it? So you need to know the position of the cusp tip. Accordingly, you remove the surfaces, that means the mesial cuspal ridge and the distal cuspal ridge you removed, and now you are reducing the wax from the cervical area. So you will get a shape like this. Now just mark the reference line. This is just to have your an idea like where the central groove will run. So this divides the occlusal surface into two. Then on the buccal surface you draw a line that will represent the labial or the buccal ridge. You remove the wax from both the surfaces, and again you draw a central line which will represent the central groove. So now once you remove the wax from the buccal surface towards that line, so the mandibular premolars, they are lingually tilted. The crown itself shows the lingual tilt. So it is a mandibular premolar we are carving, so it's tilted lingually. So accordingly I have removed the wax. Another important thing is the buccal surface will show lingual convergence, tapering. So accordingly on both the mesial and distal surfaces I have removed the wax. So now almost you get an idea that the buccal surface is lingually tilted. You can see a prominent ridge. The occlusal surface is taller from the buccal side and slopes down towards the lingual side. The lingual cusp is almost rudiment, very small and very lower level. So when you see the cusp tip of both the cusps, there is a marked difference in the height. So that is what I am doing now. Now from the buccal, take the buccal cusp and you give three slopes, mesial, distal, and also the lingual slope of the buccal cusp. So you can see I am removing the wax from the projected cusp tip towards the central groove, and I am also making the mesial and the distal slope. When I make a cut, it becomes flat. So again you use the the other side of the carver, that the straight end of the knife, so that the mesial and the distal slopes are almost even. Most of the time you students would have observed me doing this carving for canines and incisors. So almost same. The only difference here is you need to do the extra cusp, that is the lingual cusp. So what I did for the buccal surface, the same thing you have to do for the lingual cusp also. So now you can see the difference in the cusp tips. the buccal cusp is somewhat taller at a higher position and the lingual cusp is somewhat lower below. I am giving the lingual convergence, lingual tapering. The occlusal surface, it's somewhat diamond shape. Marginal ridge is the next step. So you can see here I have carved the marginal ridge. You all know how we have to position the carver tip in such a way that the tip is not projected outside the periphery. So you just leave 1 or 2 millimeter and just make a cut from the mesial and the distal slopes of both the cusps. So both the cuts will meet at a central point. So that point is called as a pit. So on the mesial side we will have a mesial pit and on the distal side you will have a distal pit. So on the distal pit, if you see mesial to the distal pit, so from the distal pit to the mesial pit runs the central groove. So just giving the final shape of the crown so that you can see the cusp tips of both the buccal and lingual cusp. You can see the tips prominent and the lingual tilt of the crown. So just compare it with the natural tooth specimen. So this is somewhat bigger in size because it's a wax block. So for demonstration purpose I am showing it in a bigger size, not the natural size. So roughly you can see the diamond shaped occlusal morphology. You can see the marginal ridges on either side, the central groove running and a very prominent transverse ridge also. So now carving of the root from the buccal surface, you draw the outline of the root and as usual you reduce all the 4 line angles in the wax block. Okay, first step is reduce all the 4 line angles, then reduce the wax from the mesial and distal surfaces of the root, make it flat. Okay, now I have made this root flat. So when you see the tooth from the buccal side, it will be as if the root is almost completed, because from the cervical it is wider and from the cervical to the apex it tapers. So I am now carving the apical portion so that to give the apical tapering. So you see here from the mesial and distal it is flat, but when you see the tooth from the buccal side it is as if the root is complete almost. Now in the mesial and distal surfaces, draw the outline of the root again so that you can get a judgment on how much wax to remove. See to that the buccal cusp tip is somewhat lingual to the root tip, so that will give the appearance as if the crown is tilted lingually. So finally the very characteristic point here is in this tooth is the presence of the mesiolingual groove. You can see here it lies exactly on the line angle between the mesial and the lingual surfaces. Hope you understood this carving demonstration. Thanks for watching.